All right, hello everyone. There really isn't a microphone or speakers in here. If you've come to one of our training events before, you'll notice that we speak into a microphone just because it makes us feel more comfortable. No, I'm just kidding. No, we're speaking into a microphone because we are recording this. So other volunteers that couldn't make it here tonight are able to watch this training afterwards. And so this microphone is recording into this contraption I have set up here, along with the video. So we can share this out, and you all can watch it again if you'd like. Go back and cross-reference anything, and you share it out with your friends if they want to become volunteers. We put this up on our website afterwards. So that's why you see me speaking into a microphone, but no speakers blasting that back out to you all. And reminder for anyone else coming up here and speaking tonight, Aaron, Leighton, Jen, whoever, Mike, speak into the microphone. And if you have questions, we'll try to walk over to you to have you speak in and to ask it as well. So again, that's recorded and captured, and we can show this training to as many people as we want. So now that I got that little bit out of the way, I'll kick it off. My name is Ernest Sager. I'm the executive director of the Vail Valley Mountain Trails Alliance, VVMTA. If you're not familiar with us, our goal is to connect our community with the outdoors, and that's through working with trail users, education, advocacy, maintenance, and really making sure that our community is out there and using our trails in a responsible manner. There's certain places where you should be on a trail and where you should not be at certain times of the year. We encourage you to get outside and use the trails. There's many benefits for that, but again, we want to make sure that it's being done the best way and the most responsible way as possible. And one of those programs that we have is this here, the Wildlife Trail Ambassador Program. We have others like Adopt a Trail, which is 83 local businesses going out and maintaining our trails on a daily basis pretty much in the summer. We had over 4,000 volunteer hours last year maintaining our trails, over 1,500 volunteers doing that. And they're doing everything from signage to drainage work to fence removal to garbage off the trails to you name it. The teams are out there maintaining them. Here, Vail Mountain Coffee and Tea, our host for the night, they adopt a trail in their backyard right across the street on West Grouse Creek. And they go out a few times of the year and try to close off social trails. They do a lot of drainage work on their trail, and it's a great program. And that helps engage our community, and it creates stewards. And that's our main goal, is to create stewards of our trails and our public lands. And that's what I mean by that is when you go out and use the trails, you're taking ownership of it. You're maintaining it like it is yours, because it is yours and it's yours to use. And we want to make sure that's taken care of. It's sustainable for many future generations to come. It's there for all of us to enjoy. And part of being a steward is understanding how and what type of impact you may be having on wildlife, and trying to communicate that message of these seasonal wildlife trail closures and why they're so important. And so this program, WTA, Wildlife Trail Ambassadors, is why you're here tonight. And it's very important, especially this time of the year. I might be jumping ahead in some slides here. No, you're fine. There we go. You're good. So I've already done some welcomes. That's my welcome and my intro. And we'll hear from Leighton, who's in the back of the room, from Colorado Parks and Wildlife. Aaron, our program manager. Nikki, who's our engagement, development and engagement manager. A few folks from the U.S. Forest Service, and I'll let them introduce themselves when they come up here, but just run through the agenda real quick. And then Mike as well from the Forest Service, and then Jen as well, probably from the Forest Service, which is a good surprise to have here. So that's the quick agenda. And all I want to say real quick, you want to take this? All right, I'm going to pass it on to Aaron, and that's my quick spiel. So thank you.
Hi guys. So the introduction to our program, definitely, he gave you such a good rundown of what we do, but we couldn't do it without our partners, and our partners really do include everybody here. We, the VVMTA, we don't own any of the land and we don't create any of the policies, but what we do is we stand behind our partners and we make sure that they have an opportunity through our program to get some help with what their message is. And we really hope that as they speak, you guys understand and really listen to how important it is to them, and then how we try to communicate that back, because it is a big deal to them, and it's become a big deal to us to make sure that as someone who uses the trails recreation, again, we want you to go out, just know what you're doing when you're out there and make sure that you do it responsibly. So each one of them, as you guys come up, just make sure you let us know who you're with, and I'm making you say your favorite trail. I'm going to go into just a little bit of background about the Wildlife Trail Ambassador Program, and then I'm going to pass it off to Leighton, and I believe Jen is coming with. Yes, Jen and Leighton? Yeah? Awesome. Why don't you guys go ahead and talk about what is relevant to you guys, CPW, and we'll go on from there.
Hi, my name is Leighton Stutzman. I'm the Edwards District Wildlife Manager. So I cover game management units 44 and 45, and I also work directly with Tana Avon, Eaglevale, and Edwards.
Hi, everyone. I'm Devin Duvall. I'm the District Wildlife Manager for the Vale District, which is game management units 36 and a portion of 45 as well. Responsible for the municipalities of Minturn, Redcliffe, and Vale.
All right. So Colorado Parks and Wildlife, our agency's mission is partly to perpetuate wildlife resources for current and future generations to enjoy. So that's part of why we are here. And also, gives away to the background and the why for why we work with VVMTA with this Wildlife Trail Ambassador program and why it's important. Seasonal trail closures are implemented to protect winter range and potentially calving areas as well, and to provide peace and quiet for animals as they utilize those habitats or transition through them. Migration corridors, calving production areas. Winter, springtime, as throughout the summer and the fall seasons, deer and elk both build up fat stores and protein content to be able to survive the winter. Over the winter time, they utilize their fat resources, their protein resources, all those things to put them through the winter time. And then, of course, once winter ends, they roll right into calving and fawning season, which is a critical time for the animals. As of course you would imagine, a newborn calf or fawn is pretty weak right off the bat, pretty vulnerable to maybe predation or malnutrition or a variety of these things. So it's really important that wildlife are given the space, the peace and quiet throughout these times of years to be able to persist and to be productive herd of animals. Devin, you have anything to say?
Sure. Yeah. I think the other important thing to know is, right, so winter months, right, so we did a training, what was it, Ernest, back in December or November maybe? A little bit different considerations moving out of winter into spring. Leighton hit on the main one when you go into that reproductive season. I think it's important to remember that these does and cows have had to carry those fawns and calves throughout the course of the winter. So, I mean, it's double the energetic expenditures for them. They're having to burn through all those fat stores in order to not only provide for themselves, but for that neonate that they're carrying, right? And so coming into calving and fawning seasons, they've been essentially starving for the last 4+5 months, right? So now they're already at a deficient state. They're already compromised, particularly this winter. I don't know if anybody's been keeping up with other parts of the state, but in the Northwest, it's been particularly bad. Middle Park's been pretty bad. We've avoided the brunt of it here, but it still is a well above average snowfall year. it's pushed animals into some of that really severe, what we categorize as severe winter range. So they're in a pretty compromised state. And just within the last, I don't know, what'd you say, like 2-3 weeks, that transition, all these just kind of freak spring storms that roll in, that's kind of make or break it. They're already, they've taken out the debits in that account or the credits in that account so much they're not debiting it at all because there's no spring green up yet. So they're operating in the red, and we've seen a lot of winter kill because of that. We've been putting down animals, unfortunately, quite a few over the last couple of weeks. So, they're in this compromised state. So I think again, at the nexus of this program is try to communicate that to the public, trail users, everybody out there, and really instill upon them that it makes a difference. It really does. And just giving them that time and opportunity, the wildlife that is, that time and opportunity to replenish those caloric stores, their fat reserves and everything. I mean, honestly, that's going to mean successful calving, successful fawning, being able to actually, as far as the bonding time with these animals too, it's not just a matter of dropping a calf, dropping a fawn, and then they're good to go, right? There's a period of mom young bonding that takes place, as well as just the nursing component, and then that replenishing those caloric deficiencies. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of context, but maybe can also tie into some of the local factors that it is happening here. It's happening now. So with any luck, we'll keep moving the needle in the right direction. Yes. Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, I'll just give you an example that, so young of the year, when a fawn, right, they're now within the next couple of weeks, they'll be considered recruited into the population. So they'll move from what we categorize as a fawn to a yearling. They're really susceptible, right? The older age class animals, and then the young of the year. So their requirements are a little bit more. They're growing faster. They maybe can't navigate the landscape as well. They're often smaller. So whether it's parasitic load, disease, just compromised body condition, they're in such a poor state that they will die. They'll succumb to just the natural environment, right? Whether that's just overnight freezing temperatures or lack of nutrition, they're starving to death. So sometimes that also affects behavioral responses too. So they're choosing to go into areas that might be, more abundant forage, maybe more productive forage. And if you can kind of read between the lines, that also often coincides with the exurban environment, the urbanized environment, where they're coming into areas where it's non-native vegetation, and can be productive for them, right? But there's an inherent conflict associated with that, whether they're getting hit by vehicles or getting hung up in fencing or whatever the case is. That's often a result of just behavioral responses to what the environmental conditions are. So if they're pushed down into others, less desirable places, that's less than ideal habitat, then there's certain connotations with that as well. So probably 9 times out of 10, the more humane thing to do is to euthanize these animals. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, I think, to help summarize some of this, nature's pretty brutal, right? I mean, every day there's potential for an animal to die due to a variety of factors. Devin alluded to the northwest corner. I was fortunate enough to go up there, or unfortunate enough to go up there this winter and take a look at those things for myself. And if anybody's been in the Craig or Maybell area this winter, they know what I'm talking about. You can look out the window right now and you can see mountain shrubs sticking out above the snow. If you went up to Craig or Maybell this winter, where it's traditional winter range for these deer and elk, it's just tundra, right? It's completely covered and it's a blanket of white across the entire landscape. So you know, animals, their inability to access food, and also when they're walking on top of this sheet of ice, you know, every time they break through up to their stomach, you know, that's enormous amounts of energy spent. So, you know, nature's brutal. So it's not only being able to feed, you know, having the ability to move to the appropriate habitat area, you know, areas for feeding, for rest, whatever, all meanwhile avoiding predation, avoiding, you know, collision with a vehicle, avoiding being chased by a dog or, you know, someone using a closed trail. That's, you know, it's all extremely important. And, you know, we can provide data and examples within our own herds, local herds that have seen, you know, significant population declines, and also cow to calf ratios that are well below where they should be in order to sustain a population or to grow a population. So, you know, all these things are pretty important. They have enough things to deal with on a daily basis. If we can manage one thing that's within our control and remove our presence during these times of year, that, you know, that helps tremendously. So, all right. What's next? Question? Oh, favorite trail. Ooh. Well, I don't want to say my favorite one because I don't want to attract anybody to my favorite. No, I would say last summer I spent quite a bit of time on the Iron Edge Trail. If anybody's familiar with that one, so I'll go with that one. That one's was pretty fun being able to go out there a couple times last year.
Oh, no, no. It's a hidden gem, so I don't want to let the cat. What's that? Yeah, I'll just Booth Creek is a gorgeous trail. Don't use it for the month of April, May, and the first 2 weeks of June. Anyway. These Jen stats now? or-
These are Aaron's stats, but Jen can come up for sure.
Any questions, I guess, before we? Any other questions?
I'll give a little bit more background for, you guys can sit if you want, but you know, this is the 6th year of the WTA program, Wildlife Trail Ambassador, sorry. And the way that this started is due to the Evercrisp Trail. And these pictures, this is our gate up here at the Evercrisp Trail with the deer standing right behind it. And this is actually on the migration corridor that sits on the Evercrisp Trail. And when the proposal for the Evercrisp Trail came up, the idea that we could put in another trail for users was really paramount to the VVMTA, and how do we continue to grow that recreation space but do it appropriately. And the Forest Service was very clear. If you can't take care of this and you can't make sure that those guys have a place to migrate, it's not going to work. And so that's when the WTA program came about. And at that point, there were trail closures, and we truly believe that they were because it was muddy. And that's not why. That was not the reason. And it took a while to figure that out, but we've learned, and as we grew through the process, we learned that what that meant was that we really needed to be honest with ourselves about our impact. And all of these signage went up and these gates. And this program was started by Miss Michelle. You can raise your hand and take credit for it. So at this point, all of these gates and signage went in, and the idea to have volunteers start to stand at these gates and really have conversations with people about why they were headed up onto the trails, where they were headed, and why. This is small, tiny minutia, I understand, but what we wanted to kind of put in here was just the number of people using the trails over the course of the time that this program's been involved, and how many people we were encountering. And the number of shifts have gone down, but the number of people we're encountering have gone down. And we understand that it's hard when you go out on a shift and you don't see anyone. That's actually great. We want you to see no one. The goal is that no one's out there and they're not coming to use that trail, because they shouldn't be up there if we're going to make an impact on that calving that Devin and Layton are discussing, or if we're going to make an impact on how they get to migrate into the places that they want to migrate. This is just totals of how many people we've seen and on cameras. It's really, we can give you more and more of this information, and it's more and more cameras have been going up. But the concept that we really just want you to know is that as this has grown, we really are proud of the fact that our volunteers have made a huge impact on the number of people that are or are not going. So yeah, we have our field ambassadors, and they do help us enforce the trail closures by actively being positioned at trailheads. You know, it's that opportunity to explain to them why, not just you can't go here, the sign says so. It also says you get a fine. Some people don't care. They don't think it applies to them for whatever reason. To have another human stand there and just politely ask them or tell them why they can't make it does help tremendously. So what we're here asking you to do today is consider coming out and joining us to educate the users on why the seasonal closures exist. Inform trail users on where they can recreate. We want this to always be a positive conversation. And that responsible recreation piece, back to, yes, we would love you to go out and play. It's good for your mental and physical well-being, but you do make an impact, and here's where you can go to make less of an impact. A lot of our volunteers are high school students. This is a picture of some of our high school students. They're great. And then just good fun pictures of the things that our volunteers catch on camera or that we do. The best times to volunteer are just when you think it's beautiful out and you would go on a hike, you should probably volunteer. Ideally, I'd love for you to register and submit a lot ahead of time. If you just have a moment and you're going to go out, go and log it afterwards. It's pretty outside. Do not sit down at your computer. Just go have fun, log it, and let me know that you went out afterwards. It happens often. But if you get an opportunity, please do take pictures. We're going to send you guys home with hats and name tags. If you don't know, this is Ellen. Ellen was our volunteer of the year last year. She's constantly out, and Miss Michelle that started the program is always out as well. And again, some more of our kids from the International Youth Conservation Coalition. We hope that any amounts that you'd be interested in volunteering is appreciated. 30 minutes to a half an hour. If you're headed out with your dog on a walk, on a leash, take the dog with you, go hang out at a closed trailhead. Educate your neighbors as to why they shouldn't be there. Weekends, after work hours, honestly, anytime you think it's worth being out on the trail. We're going to push just an all-out wilderness trail ambassador awareness day this year. On May 19th, there will be BVMTA staff and US Forest Service staff at all of the closed trails that exist during that day. And this is a great time for that calving. And it's a great important time for us to give an opportunity to have someone for one day at every trail. You are more than welcome to join us. I'll get the sign up here shortly. And the goal of this is that we would like to be out there. I'd like to run around with some donuts and hand it out to everybody and make sure you got some coffee and hang out with one of our staff or one of the Forest Service staff and make sure that we're just making sure that everybody on a day like that gets an opportunity. Michelle, I'll send this to you so you don't have to squint. Oh, got it. Awesome. I'm going to bring Nikki Aslan up. Nikki is our engagement manager here at the VVMTA. You know, this conversation is so important. And what we've realized is that if we want to continue to be a leader in educating, we had to find a better way to get the message out. And as community leaders and people who went to school for this stuff, we get excited about data that no one else cares about. So we paid someone to put together this awesome campaign, and Nikki took the lead on this, and it has been so cool to see where it goes. So I just want to introduce her and let her give you an opportunity to share her really awesome idea.
Thanks you guys so much. like Erin said, this program just has a special place in our heart, and we've really had so much success up Valley enforcing the trail closures. And as we continue to expand our education throughout the Valley, the real tipping point for the need for this campaign was when we brought the program down to Eagle. And if any of you guys live in Eagle or are familiar with the area versus up here, it's a little bit different. Up here, we have enforceable trail closures with gates and closed up access points. When you live in Eagle, we are eating, breathing, sleeping, interacting with the wildlife on our day-to-day basis. We have amazing opportunities for recreation that's open in the winter time. And so we thought, okay, how do we build on this program and extend this program and reach more people? And, you know, at the end of the day, I think it's hard when you're telling somebody not to do something, you know, that they've typically been able to do, or you're trying to sort of shift their perception about what's okay or what's not okay. And so we were trying to brainstorm internally, okay, how do we better get this message across? And my background is in marketing and advertising. And I said, well, do you think there would be any interest in hiring a professional? Because, you know, it's hard to be funny. It's hard to be engaging when that's not your specialty. So at any rate, the idea was born and we hired a local agency, 970 Design, and we wanted to bring humor. We wanted to bring engagement. And so the idea was born to put the animals in human situations and really personify their struggles and what it's like to be interrupted. And so we launched this beautiful campaign, and I couldn't be more happy with the success of this campaign. It's been supported by social media, it's been supported by an advertisement, media buy, it's been embraced by our community. If you take a look at the creative, we had so much fun, and I won't bore you by going through all of these. But please take a minute to look around at the signs and read the copy. The photography and the imagery is just beautiful. But I think what we're most impressed with is the community engagement and the receptive of the campaign and also the pledge. I think at the end of the day, what it boils down to is there are 3 ways that we can really impact the health of the herds, in addition to coming out and volunteering, which we're so excited you're all here. And those 3 behaviors are drilled down to giving the wildlife their space, keeping our dogs on leash, even if it's allowed to have your dog off leash. Like in the wintertime when these animals are struggling, keep your dog on leash and don't let them chase the elk, because under any circumstance, it's illegal through the entire state of Colorado for dogs to be chasing wildlife. And then also respecting and obeying the seasonal closures. And that's why you guys are here. So the reach, I guess I should say, the campaign was designed to drive people to our website to take our pledge. And if you haven't taken the pledge or taken a look at it, it's respectthewild.org. And then quickly, we'll just go through the accomplishments. And I think I'm just sort of even humbled because it sort of exceeded our wildest expectations for engagement. We had over 100 people attend our educational event in Eagle, which was where we launched this campaign. We have had an additional, it says 189, but people are still taking the pledge through today. And I think we're over 200 at this point. We have had over 3,000 people actively engage and visit our website and connect with this material and connect with these lessons, and over 172,000 impressions on social media and Google of this message. So I'm just so proud of this initiative that was born to design. It was designed to support this initiative. And it's just also a nice way for our volunteers that you don't have to bear the burden of the complete education, right? So if you're out on the trail and you encounter somebody, you can encourage them to read more and go to the website, so that, you know, it's just a more fun and positive education experience than you having to feel like you need to drill or enforce or, be the one telling them exactly what to do. So it's been a great program. And does anybody have any questions on that?
Can you explain to people what an impression is for people that don't really?
Absolutely. That's a fantastic question. So with our paid media campaign, every time somebody who's targeted who lives in this valley goes online and they have interests similar to ours, the ad is served up. And so 172 impressions, that doesn't necessarily mean that we have reached 172,000 people, but people are seeing it over and over and over again. And if they didn't act the first time, then we're going to serve it up again and hope that they do the next time. So any other questions? Cool. That's a great question. Anecdotally,
Microphone.
thanks, Ernest. The question is are we seeing any behavioral change? And so we have cameras monitoring around the area. And so we're hoping to validate that with actual data. And so we'll start pulling those April 16th and analyzing that. Anecdotally, as a resident in Eagle, I live off of the golf course and I am seeing change. My neighbor, in fact, who has refused to leash her dog for years, I actually saw her out walking her dog with a leash. I do think that peer influence is a strong factor in Eagle Valley, in Eagle in particular, and I think people are starting to realize why, and it's great. When we got out and started talking to people about it, I think most of the time people just don't know. It's like what Erin said. I moved to this valley 8 years ago, and I'll be the first one to admit I did not leash my dog. I'm embarrassed to say, but I just didn't know. And I think that's been a privilege of being involved in this program and really understanding the impact and how we can do better. And so I'm grateful. I think we are making change. We'll see when the data comes in. Ernest, do you have anything to add to that? Yes, thank you. So we plan to continue this education initiative. And if I didn't mention it, it started in Eagle, but it is a county-wide effort at this point. Yeah, Devlin.
Yeah, I'm just curious, what's kind of the main method of delivery or for engagement with the public, or how are they primarily consuming this information?
Yeah.
Is there like push notifications?
No, that's a great question. So our primary form of outreach at the beginning of the campaign was our educational event. And then we also launched our advertising campaign and paid social media. It's actually been hugely organic in terms of people receiving this information on social media and then sharing it with their friends, which again has been surprising. But I think it goes to the beauty of the campaign. It's just people want to share this information because of the way that it's presented. And so we started with the educational event. We're supporting it with a media buy. We have business engagement, local engagement, and then of course in Eagle, we also have our on-the-ground volunteers who've been actively sharing this information. Yes, and thank you, Ernest, for reminding me. All of our partners have been sharing this information as well. So the town of Eagle has been supporting this. The Eagle Chamber has been supporting this. Eagle Valley Land Trust, Mountain Rec came on board, and the sky's the limit in terms of where we take it from here. Anybody else that I missed, Ernest? Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, to add, I think it's important to say our initial funding did come from Eagle. Eagle is a very special place because we do live right in the wildlife corridor. Like it's not up on Whiskey Creek. It's like through the main drag. And so the town of Eagle and Eagle Ranch definitely funded the beginning of this. It's just that as this has grown, we do realize that we could probably continue to carry this forward. An impact like this does take a while, and this will launch back up in the fall, and we're excited to see how this grows. some of this signage will originally start in Eagle. And this stuff is just to catch people's attention, maybe more so than what they see. And we hope that we'll just grow that as it moves forward. But there are Respect the Wild cards right here and stickers. Please put them on your water bottles. I'd love to walk into a coffee shop and see it on everybody's water bottle. And just that little bit of thought that if they see that logo quite a few times, they'll start to respond correctly to what that looks like and what that means. Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to add that this campaign is to help you all when you're out in the field. It's to try to mitigate, first of all, people coming out there in the first place. But if you speak to them about this, they may have seen it in their social media. They, it might click that, that switch on that's what marketing is, right? You don't know you want it or know it until you actually purchase it. And that's kind of the same thing. And the idea behind this, that someone shows up at Trailhead, you could speak to this campaign, you could speak to the pledge, ask them to use this card, go to our website, take the pledge, learn more about why this trail is closed. This QR code goes right to our website and it gives them all the information they need. They can understand where seasonal trail closures are. They can understand where they can go recreate at that time. And it's here to try and support you. So this paid social, paid advertising that Nikki mentioned, yes, this launched in Eagle and that was our focus through the winter. But for the remainder of this season, the spring until end of June, we are still running this campaign through social media, through Google. So it's going to be running for the next few months. People are still going to be seeing it. Everyone that comes into town from out of town, our locals, it'll show up. If they like hiking, biking, trail running, wildlife, environmental, the way that you pay for social media ads, you put in what your likes are. And then if you like those things, that's going to show up. And if you search or Google for like, where can I go hike today? There's a good chance this is going to show up in your feed. And that's kind of the point and goal behind it. So when you're out there, just want to let you know that this is supporting you and you can kind of push people back to it, to understand it, go through the ads and have a little fun and engage in conversation at the same time.
Nikki said it. It was a goal to make this fun and engaging because I'm not fun and engaging. Let's be honest. Like somebody has to have somewhere where they can go to learn just the etiquette of it because the rules are hard. You don't know whose land you're standing on. You don't know if you have to have a dog on a leash. You don't know if you're supposed to be there half the time. It's really hard to even know where you're at. So if you just keep a couple things in mind, whether you're on an open trail, which you should be, or on a closed trail where you shouldn't, if you see wildlife, you should probably still turn around. And that's the goal of this conversation. So please use it to your advantage. Understand that you're not expected to know all the rules, but we want to make sure we have resources to give to people. So along those lines, materials and swag, there are the informational cards for the Respect the Wild. As well on this table, there are some wildlife trail ambassador cards. And this is a whole list of the seasonal trail closures, what's open, and more information about what we're talking about. That means you don't have to have the answers. We want you to give these to people. I really promise you, this is my job and I don't know all the answers. You're not expected to, but giving them an opportunity to go forward to the right spot is all you can do. We'll give you a name tag. We'll give you a hat. And you can have a beanie when you show up and volunteer with one of us. I am holding those beanies hostage. There's one in the back for you to look at. Don't steal it. They're pretty sweet. Moving on, our website is just a wealth of information. Again, all these QR codes link back to it, but it does include our calendar of events, how to register, where to put a login, all the seasonal wildlife trail closures, trail maps, and trail conditions. So Sammy is updating our trail conditions on a normal basis. If it's muddy, he's putting in there that it's muddy. If it's snowy, if it's closed, whatever that is. So you can go on and actively find any updates that we've put on our trail conditions page. We do also constantly update people that muddy trails are not acceptable. So please just know that our website is a wealth of information and you can always direct people back to that. And we're constantly trying to direct that information from our partners and our land managers. The calendar is located under the events tab. It's pretty easy. This will all be on the website. I am happy to send this to any of you. I don't want to go through how to click through all of this. It's just here for you. But I do suggest maybe check the calendar and see who's out. Our U.S. Forest Service people are out, Clayton's out, Jen's out. Come join one of us. Look at our calendar and pick an hour and come join us. If they're not on the calendar and you want to go, contact me, register, I'll come join you. Let's do this together and, you know, make sure that you guys are interested and engaged in how this is happening. The registration piece is important. Again, if you've got a beautiful day outside and you want to go out, go out. When you get back, register, let me know that you went and submit a log. The registration part is important because it's good for us to be able to tell the Forest Service that people did it. That's how we make sure that this keeps going. This is a free program. We need to know who's going and when and how many hours because it really does add up and it's important. So please make sure it happens. I do understand that it's a last minute decision sometimes, but yeah, let's make sure that we account for the hours that you give because they're really important. Logs. Again, I'm not going to go through how to get to it. I'll make sure that you guys have this. All I'm going to say is please take pictures. Take pictures of anything you see. Take a selfie. Take a picture of the trailhead. If you see footprints around the gate, take a picture. If the gate is so buried with snow, take a picture so we can get to at least the sign and get it fixed. That's happened this year and we want to know that that information is there and we really hope that you'll give us back the feedback. The other thing I'm going to say about this is where our information comes from. If somebody is on a closed trail and they come up on Michelle, you know, she's always at like, where did you get the idea you could come here? Oh, well, I'm staying at this hotel and the concierge said I could. Okay, cool. We'll call the hotel and we'll let the concierge know that they can't send the people over there. It does happen and you guys are our eyes and ears. And if you don't let us know that you were out, we can't remedy some of these situations. So give us as much information as possible. Let us know how it went. Let us know where the information came from. And this is our best source of being effective while we're outside. Check in, check out. Just make sure that someone knows you're going. If you register with me, I'm kind of got it on my radar. My phone number's on here. Kat Bazan, who couldn't be here today, is with the Forest Service and our Trails and Wilderness Manager. She's super helpful. You're going to meet Mike here shortly and Clayton. And these guys definitely are always here in your back pocket also while you're out. If you have a terrible situation, there's the sheriff's number. But please make sure that someone knows where you are when you guys go out on a trail, just like any normal procedure that you would adhere to. Anyone have any questions? Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions for what time of year and where to go for the most like travel trails or the most violated trails? Because like right now, the gate to Piney's closed, so you're not gonna go up and monitor the top of Fundamental, right? Because the gate's closed. You can get up there.
Yeah,
Or-
Fundamental is pretty, I believe, pretty buried right now. I mean, for sure. But out on, so, you know, some of the ones that'll be on this list as we get closer to the 19th, like Polly's Plunge, no matter if there's a gate or not, it gets violated. It's people just walk around the gate. Evercrisp right now is a spot where just past that gate, you can see where people are walking right around the gate and they're showing up on the trail cameras. If you have questions about where best to go and where you, let me know where you live and I'll let you know what's in your backyard and a great spot to head to. There are closed trails that are harder to get to and probably not seeing the action like what you're discussing. But there are ones that are going to close here shortly, North Trail. You know, it does happen. North Trail is a great example of, I believe Ellen was on North Trail at one point and someone dropped back out of the closure and she said, didn't you know it's closed? And they said, well, no, we just live over here and we walked onto this trail and our social trail from our house. And that's a great way for us to find out how people are accessing these. And it's not that they're all going around a closure or that they know, but it gives us a good opportunity to close a social trail that might be coming from an apartment complex. So yeah, we can help direct you and just let me know where you live and, make it easy. Something in your backyard, I will help with what that looks like. Yeah.
It's a good question. And Aaron touched on game cameras a little bit. And we have, what do we have? 20 game cameras now, Sammy? I'm not even 14. Sorry. Close. Feels like 20. Probably feels like more to you. Sammy's out there. He puts our game cameras up. He manages them. He makes sure the batteries are working, that they're not being stolen, because that's happened in the past as well. But the game cameras there, again, another tool for us to help you and support you, where if you want to know where to go, we might suggest or direct you to a place to go, where those game cameras, they're live. They're on AT&T cellular network, and we get a notification and we get photos whenever there's motion in front of that. And that could be a person violating a closure. That could be deer or elk or bobcat or moose or another form of wildlife, or the grass is growing or the leaves are growing and it flashes in front of the camera and sets it off every 3 seconds, which is really annoying. But yeah, that is from one of our game cameras right there, that puppy. And we monitor those every day, daily basis. Devin and Layton have access to those cameras from the CPW. Jen, Mike, Forest Service, Clayton has access to those cameras to help monitor and enforce as well. And if we see a lot of violations occurring on a certain trail at a certain time, or what those trends are, or if we see that there's wildlife present in that area, we may reach out and say, hey, if you're going to go volunteer, go to this trail, go to this trailhead. And we're seeing a lot of people, more often than not, it's the coffee dog walkers in the morning, and then the evening dog walkers as well, are the people that are out there. So we try to use those game cameras to help inform you and make it more impactful out there of where and when and what trailhead that it would be best for you to be at.
Bribery is something that Michelle started and I am all for. We will incentivize you to go out and volunteer, called bribery. If you volunteer at least 6 hours in any of our programming over the course of the year, we will send you expert voice and some local discounts, some pro deals. If you volunteer at all, we'll begin to, put you in a raffle for and drawing for America the Beautiful Pass, Avail Pass Winter Rec. If you get 18 hours, and a few people in this room do, we have some pretty sweet Patagonia hoodies that have our logos on them. So please, there's a party at the end of the year. We run our Drop to Trail, and we've kind of pulled our Wildlife Trail Ambassador program and all of this together at the end of the year. And we really want you to come and celebrate with us what we were able to do over the entire year and give back to you to say thank you, because we do know that your time is important and we appreciate it if you're going to spend it with us. You're here tonight and I can't thank you enough. And PS, your hours tonight go to this. So, Kickstart. Yes, a Kickstart. As long as you registered. Yes. If you didn't register, yeah, I won't know about it. No, really, it really is important that those registration and those logs get to the bribery, but they also help us continue with these programs. It really does make a difference. And that's the ability for me to look at our land managers and say, we're trying and we have friends who are showing up for us and for you. And so please make sure you register and submit logs. And if you have questions ever, I am here and happy to, my phone number's in this. I'll make sure you guys have it. Seasonal trail closures. Here's a list of what is going to be coming up in trail closures and the dates. Again, this is all on our website. I'm just making sure that you guys are aware of what these things are. So a lot of it, yeah, right now is turning on April 15th, going till June 20th. And these are pictures this year of people getting caught. Innocent enough, they probably have no idea, which is fine. I try to keep it pretty easy. So this is our closure page. Again, there's links to all of the trail forks, how that's going to work and what that looks like. And so I just want to, keep all of the information in front of you. Know that you guys have access to it. You don't have to know everything, but we have it available for you, including, maps. Ernest loves his maps. So if you don't know, Ernest loves his maps. So here are some of our maps, the Vale area and all of our closures. This is the Evercrisp and Whiskey map. Avon. So Nob Hill actually gets, how many deer do we say? 400 so far this year? Oh yeah, that camera is really active and little foxies and all sorts of cool stuff. So volunteering up on Nob Hill this year was super helpful for those of you who were able to go. And then here's our eagle closures. These are all about to open back up because the migration is going to begin to head back east. Eagle River Preserve. And then Metcalf Road. I think, Michelle, did you take this picture last year of the, that's okay. No, you're great. There are some signs, but we can't fence it all in, right? So being out there and just advocating and being able to talk to people is really huge. I think Michelle did take this picture last year of the snowmobile tracks. I don't think you saw anyone, but yeah. Yep. And then again, every conversation we want to have with anyone on the trail is a positive conversation, right? We want to make sure why this is relevant and then let them know where they can go. Again, all this is on our website, but just know that we want to always come back to that conversation about where we can and can't go. I'm going to leave this here, but I wanted to invite Clayton and Mike down to talk. Clayton has been an Adopt a Trail Ranger with us for, is that all? Yeah, well, you're pretty good at it. 3 years. And he has taken out so many crews and he can give you some advice about how to be out there, the best practices, how to stay safe and make sure that you and your PPE get back to your car appropriately. So I'm going to let him talk and then I'm going to let Mike close down with just some information from the Forest Service about why this is relevant and being engaged.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out. Really appreciate you all being here today or this evening. It's almost running into 7 o'clock. Nevertheless, I'm here to talk to you about what we call in the Forest Service our risk analysis, or RA for short. Forest Service goes through almost anything you can do, figures out the risks involved with it and how to mitigate those risks. So they've come up with one for the WTA program. And I'm just going to generally skim over everything. You guys Aaron was great and talked about the first thing, check in, check out, make sure people know where you're going, when you're coming back, and when you're heading out, and making sure you're in contact with them the whole time. You're in good cell reception. If you're not in cell reception, as soon as you get back in, letting folks know where you are and when you're back and you're safe. And then some of these trailheads, not two of them are too far away, so you don't have to worry about having a big pack with you, but you definitely want to bring all your PPE. It's spring. The weather can change on a dime, so you want to make sure you have everything with you. Make sure you got your proper layers with you, stuff that you can shed, stuff that you can put back on. The snow's starting to get really rotted. I'm a huge fan of gaiters because I hate snow in my boots. So as you're going through there and you're tromping through the snow and you're starting to break through that crust, gaiters are a great one to have with you. Hiking to the work site, make sure you're watching out for slip, trips, and falls, looking up, down, and around, making sure you're wearing the proper footwear. You don't want to go there, lace up your boots, and all of a sudden you're snapping laces and walking around with sloppy boots. That's just going to lead to a bad time and possible injury. And then again, leading into spring, lightning and thunderstorms, very prevalent in this zone, and that weather can change on you. So you want to make sure that you have the proper layering with you. So when that does come, you're ready for it. You can put on your puffy, you can put on your shell, and you can start boogieing back to your vehicle where it's nice and safe and warm. Springtime, nice and sunny, beautiful day today, right? With that and with the snow, a lot of sun, a lot of sunburns, and making sure you're putting on sunscreen, wearing your long sleeves, wearing your long pants, and just covering up and staying safe from all of that. Cold weather, you know, goes with the lightning and thunderstorms in the spring. So make sure you got all of that with you. Probably the most scary thing you're going to do out there is public contacts. Honestly, for myself, as a force protection officer, I'm learning how to make those contacts with people, and making sure you're being civil, happy, and like Aaron was saying, providing them another opportunity. Unfortunately, you can't hike Evercrest, but keep cruising up Meadow Mountain. You know, you'll get to the line shack, you'll have radical views from up there. So giving people other opportunities to get out. And like Aaron was saying, just telling people why we're doing this, you know, the importance of it all. You know, our herds are only getting weaker and weaker as things get harder and harder for them. So we really want to keep things as strong as possible for our wildlife out there. And then wildlife encounters, you know, it'd be really neat to see a wildlife out there, but, you know, make sure you know that rule of thumb. You know, you want to put your arm out there, cover up the animal with your thumb, and then even then take another 20 feet back. And, or like Aaron was saying, turn around, let them be. Elk have social anxiety. Be cool, give them their space. And that's about the big gist of safety. Making sure you're wearing your proper PPE, making sure people know where you are, when you're going out, when you're coming back, and where you're going to be. Talking to folks, watch out for dogs. You know, the more and more you're out there in the woods, the more times you're going to see a dog, your risk of perhaps having a negative experience with an animal goes up. So, and with that, I'm going to pass it along to Mike Beach. Any questions about safety in the woods? Sweet. Thank you all so much. My favorite trail is Gore Lake.
Okay, thanks, Clayton. I'm Mike Beach. I oversee the Recreation Trails and Wilderness Program on the local district here. And I guess I wanted to touch a little bit more on safety with public contacts. I think that can probably be the most intimidating part of this program if you're out at a closed trail, knowing how to initiate that conversation with folks. And I think we can give you advice. Some of the volunteers who've been around for a while can give you advice too, but it's really awesome what VVMTA has done with this campaign and focusing on that positive message, and giving the why is really important. So our approach is always to just start like a normal conversation. Hi, how you doing? Like explain or introduce yourself, explain what you're doing there, and then talk about the closure and why it exists and what the benefits are for people and for the wildlife for obeying those closures. And it kind of ends up just being a normal conversation like you'd have with anybody else. I think standing at the gate maybe makes you feel like you're an authority figure or something, and telling people no, it's not easy, at least not for people like me. But really focus on just having a positive interaction with folks. And then along with that, there will be times when people maybe don't want to listen to you or don't care, and maybe get a little bit aggressive. And at that point, our ask is that you just disengage with them. We don't need you to deal with that type of person or try to convince them to change their mind, but you can contact either folks from VVMTA or us or CPW, and we'll do our best to get out there and address the situation using our jurisdictional authority. So that's the big ask as far as safety goes. And then I don't know what else I'm supposed to talk about, but I guess I'll just say thanks everyone for coming out again. This program's grown tremendously over the last 5 years. It's been awesome. I just got back from being away for 3 years, and it's been really cool to see how it's grown. And thanks to VVMTA for that, and support from other partners. And we're just really happy with how things have gone. And we do think it's really important. We spend a lot of time on this program throughout the year, and because we feel it's important, and just appreciate the support that you all are giving it, and hopefully encourage others to do the same. Yes. Question.
Key piece of information you wanna ask, like, how they found the trail, something that's been mentioned before, do they actually live in Eagle County or not live in Eagle County? Are there like any key checklists of like things you want us to note in our logs or people that we're engaging with?
Sure. Yeah. The question was, are there key pieces of information that we'd hope to gather? So security number, birthday, this credit card. Yeah, exactly. I think why they're there. I don't know that we really care where they're from. Maybe you all do, but it's helpful to have that information, I guess. But really, where they heard about the trail. That's the biggest one I can think of. I'm blanking on the rest, but I think that just helps us know where to go to kind of spread the word a little bit more. And then obviously providing them with information on where they can go. But
that idea of how did they get to this point is super helpful, right? That's the best way for us to know how to catch that moving forward. Most people are out there because they really just didn't know. And so if we can find where they got the information, we can stop that. Sometimes that's Trail Forks, sometimes that's where they live, sometimes that's a hotel, right? Where they're from is helpful, right? If they say, oh, I found out from the hotel, great, we know that. If they say they're close, I mean, you just inherently kind of know these things through the questions that you've asked. Just starting a general dialogue. Hey guys, how are you doing? Will lead to those types of conversations. Those are definitely two of the biggest ones for sure. And then that conversation about the dog on the leash is also really hard. But hey, do you realize the impact that you may or may not be having? Most people are out during the day when wildlife is actually bedded down. And so they don't see them, but the wildlife smell their dogs and the vice versa. And so keeping them close to them, maybe reducing that risk that they're chasing them out of that bedding down is kind of important. So those, I would say, are the big three conversation pieces that we would want to stress.
Start reporting back to you. Like,
Yeah.
Log, that thing about, like, how many people there are, how many dogs there are the dogs on leash, off leash, where are they from? Like,
yeah, those questions are in. Yeah, no problem. Those questions are in the log. It asks point blank, how much did you see evidence of wildlife? Did you see wildlife? Did you see dogs off leash? How many dogs on leash? Thank you. That log is very specific. It asks. Ellen writes books and it's great. But they're super helpful. I was telling we did a lunch with locals yesterday, and I was telling a story this year that Ellen had an experience where some people were breaking the trail closure because their dog was off leash and ran into the closure, and they were going to break that closure. There is nothing she can do about that. That's okay. We're not asking you to be enforcers. We're not telling you they're not going to go get their dog. It's going to happen. But that opportunity after the fact, when they come down with the dog on a leash, to have that conversation with them about the importance is what we're there for. Do the best that we can, but we are not enforcement. Our biggest advantage is we are not in a uniform like those guys. Our biggest disadvantage is we are not in a uniform like those guys. So it's an opportunity to talk to someone and pry a little bit, but politely, and know that we're not asking you to stop anyone from anything. We're just hoping you share this information with your friends, your neighbors, and go out on a trail with us. Is that helpful? Awesome. So to close this up, take some stickers, give them to your friends, take some information cards, put them in your pocket of your jacket. I'm happy to hand out my personal card. You can contact me at any point. I'm happy to engage with you on any questions, answers, concerns, anything that you have. I will point you in the right direction. Rob Tadlock is calling. Okay. And we're going to move on. So please, let's close this up. But one other question. Oh, I'm pretty sure this is the Forest Service, that they might be open to feet, but not wheeled. Mike, you want to talk about this rule right here? Like the Berry Creek.
Yeah. That's okay. That's correct. Without getting into too much detail, we have a travel management plan that basically describes where wheeled vehicles and motor vehicles can be used on the forest and at what dates. And that was signed in 2011. So kind of a lot of things with trends in biking and other activities have occurred since then. But obviously we're probably a little slow to the game here, just by nature of being the federal government. But technically all Forest Service trails and behind gates roads that are not plowed are closed to bikes until May 21st is when they open up. There's a few other dates with certain roads, but you can call the ranger station if you want more information and we can talk you through it, but that is correct. Yeah. Yeah.
So grab a name tag, take some information with you, grab a hat from me, show up and get a beanie, and thank you guys so much for coming. Are we done? I think we're done. Because thank you guys.